We are live from Saturday night. Wednesday afternoon. Hello, everyone. I'm Joanne Weaver, and I'm here with Jared Tredly and Erica Fortgang. We are three excellent design recruiters, all based in the New York area. And this is Design Unfiltered. So this is this number 5, you guys, or 6? It's 5?
5, I'm pretty sure.
5?
Yeah, that means we've been doing it for 10 weeks then.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We do it every other Wednesday. Yep, at 1 p.m. Eastern. And so the whole purpose of this is just to, pick our brains. We're three, experienced design recruiters in UX and product design. So this is really, a 50-minute session for you guys, for you to ask us all your questions. This week's topic is how to work with design recruiters effectively. So any questions or any experiences you've had around working with a design recruiter, and maybe you're like, I wasn't really sure what to do, or this was kind of like funky, or just if you've never worked with one before and you're just curious like how the process works, any specific questions that you have to ask us would be great. And that's what we're here for. Yeah. How'd I do, Jared?
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for introducing us.
Yeah. And then, while everybody's coming into the room, if you just want to put in the comments, where are you calling in from? Yeah.
So we had Greece last week.
Yeah, we did.
Someone from Greece. Yep.
We did.
We end up all over the place.
That's right. I know. Yeah. So how was your guys this week? We'll just kind of chit chat while everybody comes in the room.
Let them stream on in.
Yeah, we like to kind of talk about successes for the week or the last 2 weeks or any sort of interesting experiences you guys have had. So what adventures have you been on, or what's happening?
Yeah, it's there's some positives I've seen been happening. Have some people getting job offers, which is always a big win. But before that, people just moving through to any sort of interview round, or just having companies solidify what it is that they're looking for in a designer and then go to market and start doing that. So just the simple act of that is great right now. That's a success, to see an opportunity to hire a designer, and then to see designers that are looking for work that may not be employed right this second. Some of them are. They are obviously getting interviews for finding a job. That's step one, and that's where it's all begins. So yeah, lots of that been happening this week, which is cool.
Oh, great. It's often just about like getting your foot in the door. Like, so much preparation goes into the resume and the portfolio and things we've talked about a lot here, but actually like get that foot in the door, to get in front of people, get that interview, and hopefully get the job. Like that's the rubber meets the road. Yeah.
That's it. How's your week, Erica?
My week has been good. Yeah, I'm working with a little company out west who have made an offer to a candidate of mine, and we should find out today or tomorrow. It's a lot of complicated layers of it, though. So, you can't get excited until it's over, right? But it was really fun, and we're hopeful for that. But yeah, I've just got a bunch of other little clients going on, getting their term signed and everything. So fun stuff there.
Great.
Awesome.
Great.
Well done.
Congrats.
How about you, Joanne?
So my news is really, I'm dying to tell you, but it's super nerdy. So my boyfriend entered me into the National Crossword Championships.
Oh my God.
That are held in Stamford, Connecticut every year. This was the 46th annual Crossword Championship, the ACPT. And it's hosted by Will Shortz, who's the New York Times crossword editor for many, many years. And so my boyfriend Al gave it to me as a Christmas present. And then I opened up the present. I was like, oh, shit. Like, oh, no, I have to do this thing. And so it was 2 weekends ago. And so I just puzzled my arse off for like 2 days.
Okay.
And it was really fun. I met some very interesting, quirky people.
I bet.
From all over the place. People that have been there for like 40 years, and people whose time it was also like there were also other rookies. And I just wanted to not get last place. Like, I was just going in,
That's a fair.
Very chill. And I had 2 glasses of wine the night before the big puzzle tournament.
Classic.
Not remembering that my tolerance was like awful. So I was like hung over for like the entire puzzle day. So I had a little bit of a handicap, but it was really fun. And I came in, so out of 734 people, I came in 590.
Woo!
Wow.
I'm pretty pleased with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to
Must
go
be
back
some-
next year?
Yeah.
Huh?
Are you going to go back next year?
I would like to. Yeah. Yeah. And there's a one-day puzzle tournament on August 24th. So plenty of time to clear your calendars. It's called Lollapuzzoola, and it's in the Upper West Side. It's like a whole day thing. So
Only in New York, hey?
I
Only in
know.
New York City.
I know.
We are pretty fortunate to have access to these things at times.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and look where all these people are coming in from. Oh my gosh, there's Pakistan, Boston, Kevin,
New York.
aloha, back to you, Kevin.
I see our mate Tom Scott from the UK. Hey, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Good to see you.
Oh, cool.
That's great.
Steve from the Bay Area. Woohoo, 408, South Bay. In the house.
Oh, right. Oh,
yeah.
Look at
I like this. I like this format.
All right.
Yeah, Kansas City.
Thank you for sharing, everyone. Yeah. I've been to Kansas City a few times. I love Kansas City. Yeah. In another life, I am a drummer, and my drums are built in Kansas City. So, yeah.
Hi, Nick.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, thank you, everyone, for saying g'day. That makes us feel like we're not just talking to the void.
I know. It's so nice to see everyone. Yeah. Sarah, dude, don't reach out to me after a tournament. I'm spent. Yeah.
We can't tell how many people are on here. Sometimes we just feel like that's why we ask for questions. Ask us anything.
Yeah, it's always helpful. And maybe that's our first little intro for you there, in that recruiters are actually humans. Can you believe it? Yeah, we're humans. We're people.
Speak for yourself, Jared. I'm just all AI. This is all AI.
Yeah. That's the future of recruitment, right? Yeah, that'll be another topic.
Word. Oh, Chad Weatherby. Hello.
Oh, we got a few drummers too.
Oh, cool.
Hence the hat. That's it. That's it.
Right on. We'll have to form a band. So, Jared, you can play drums, I'll sing. And Erica, what do you want to play?
Backstage. Something backstage. Trust me, better that way.
Stage manager.
I'll handle the lighting. Yeah, stage manager.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
All important roles. All very important roles.
Very. I think I saw a question that was kind of buried within all the frivolity of people writing in. So Audra Congress, I'm going to put this on the screen. I just hit show, right?
Yeah.
There we go. Oh my gosh, look at this. Wow.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to hide that part. There you go. Okay.
Cool. She says, are you working more with staff placements as part of an agency or in-house? So I think I can speak for all three of us. I mean, of course, feel free to fill in, but we're all third-party agencies or part of third-party agencies. So Erica and I are both independent, and Jared works for Bamboo Crowd. So we basically partner with a variety of clients on whatever jobs are looking to fill that are in our niche, right? So all three of us are experts. I don't like to say the word experts, but we have expertise. Let's put it that way. Expertise in UX and product design. So it could be anything. It could, depending on how our companies are each structured, it could be, freelance, could be temp to perm, could be full-time. Sometimes if we just find a really great person and we know our client really well, but maybe we don't know if they have an open role, we might just hit up the client and say, hey, I got back in touch with so-and-so and they're great because of these 3 reasons. Do you want to see their information? So sometimes you can open up a job that way too. So I think this question really touches on kind of a big benefit of working with third-party recruiters like us, is that you're not just going to like one company, you're going to one person who has a lot of reach with different companies.
We also have a lot of like insight and intel based on the fact that we talk to a lot of different people. If we've heard something or whatever, we can sort of like hear the whispers. But I think I also wanted to touch on like the in-house aspect for design recruiters. There certainly are big companies, I'd say big tech, probably have specifically product design recruiters or design recruiters who can assist. I think before maybe the pandemic, there was less of that. So in the smaller companies, more of the in-house brands that we typically work with, and even some larger corporations or corporates, they probably don't really have a design specific recruiter, right? So working with us, we can really help you with a lot of different things. I mean, portfolios, like how to, whatever, but we don't obviously work with every client or every company that's available. So.
Yeah, I guess you could sort of almost create a little bit of an analogy maybe of, working with someone that is in your profession, i.e. a design recruiter, if you're a designer, is connecting with someone that really understands what you do, that understands your industry, your market, how companies hire someone like yourself, how to go about working with someone like you. It'd be like having a mechanic come over and asking them to fix, your sink if you were working with the wrong recruiter or one in a different skill set. It just wouldn't really be the expert. They could probably figure it out because they're quite handy and they've got some base level of skills, but it's not really their expertise. So it's not necessarily the right person for the job. So yeah, I hope for us, I think career-wise, we've specialized in some of this because it really can add so much value to so many people, but also so many companies, that hiring a designer is pretty unique. It's not really a standard experience at all. Yeah. And the hiring experience, the hiring process, all these things are a little bit different. It does take a different expert approach.
It does. And there's a level of complexity, like an added layer of complexity with the portfolio, right? So it's like we got into product management recruiting about 5 or 6 years ago, just because so much of our business, as I'm sure your businesses are too, is through word of mouth, right? So it's like, once you find somebody great, who are your friends? Who do you work with? So we're like, okay, this is a no-brainer. We're making so many placements based on word of mouth with designers. Who do they know on the product side? And so my first few interviews with product people was such a culture shock for me, because I was so used to, working with designers for 2 decades. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And so to finally get somebody who's like very a different, not to say that there's the division, the camp of product design, and they know
some generalizations.
Right. But it's a different mindset. It was a different approach. I found that product people wanted to know the company name and the money and what's, kind of the details. And then the conversations were so much shorter because you're not going through the portfolio and you don't have to give advice on the portfolio, right? Because a lot of what we do as recruiters, since we know our clients well and we know what they're looking for, we will coach you. If we're working with you, we'll coach you on, hey, I think you could actually put this up front in your portfolio, or you could choose this, or, hey, beware the before and after. You have to do that really specifically, or else it's going to look like the before work is your work, things like that. So I think just because we have worked with portfolios for so long, we can coach you on that, if we're working with you on a search.
Absolutely. I'm definitely seeing a ton of questions in here, which, Joanne, I'll defer to you to pick them if you like. I love having you moderate too.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But maybe while you pick one or two out, Erica, maybe you could share real quick, what's the best way to approach a design recruiter? You're a designer, you're looking for work. What are some little simple do's, maybe even some don'ts? It's just, I guess we're hearing from people every day, and some messages are more effective when they get to us. Others are they land a little less effectively on us. What are some things that make it helpful for you when you hear from a designer?
I guess if you are messaging us on LinkedIn, right, it has to be really quick. So you have to say hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm a product designer. Here's my portfolio. You can't really attach your resume if you're not connected already. But here's my portfolio. I'd love to connect and see if I can work with you. Just something really simple. But you have to show us first, and then hopefully we'll connect. And then, the conversation continues from there, but just be really brief. I'll probably tell you to email me. It's a lot easier for me to keep it organized. And then in that, I would just give a really short elevator pitch of you. I would definitely attach your resume, your LinkedIn profile, just make it easy for me. Sometimes I get messages where it's just a message and there's no context, or
no portfolio, no work, no link.
Bad UX, man. Bad UX. Yeah.
I get
it.
It is. It's True.
I get it if it's under construction, but like you got to show me something. I need to sort of my wheels are all of our wheels start to churn as soon as we get a new person that we're talking to,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's about clients that we've worked with in the past, clients we've worked with in the future, clients we want to work with. We're like, oh my God, this person would be great. Like, let's talk. So you can just give me a quick little highlight, I guess, of, where you are currently or recently, and, your availability to chat with me. Then I'll respond. I'll give you my calendar link. We'll set it up. And we'll get on a phone call for, I don't know, sometimes my calls are like 30, 45 minutes. Depends. I really talk to everyone for a long time, but yeah. And then we just sort of chat about what you're looking for, what you don't want. I usually like to ask people, what's a nightmare company? What's a nightmare industry for you? I do get a lot of like crypto Web3 nightmares, but I also get a lot of, I don't know, large big tech meta type places are nightmares, but I also get a lot of early stage companies as a nightmare because they don't want to do it again. So every single person is different with what they're looking for, which I think is really fun. Like, it's so unique. Everyone's motivations are different for looking. And so it's kind of like a puzzle, like Joanne here, puzzles. And that's why we can sort of fit things in our heads a little bit. So
yeah, totally.
we try to get everything out of you. We'll go through a little bit of your work, maybe like your most recent stuff. We'll see if you have any questions directly for us. And then we can talk a little bit about our insights into the market, which I like to do a lot.
That's awesome.
And how do you guys handle, like, if somebody emails you their information? So let's say they're doing everything right. They've got their portfolio, their resume, some ideas of what they're looking for. And let's say they're like, okay, can we start working together? Like, what is your response to that? Like, let's say that, like, maybe you do have an open job for them, or maybe you don't have an open job. Like, how do you guys tend to approach that? And I can share mine too.
Yeah, always comes down to, I think, some of like their initial outreach, what I'm looking at. If I do have a role on that I think aligns and I can see some sort of fit or something there, then of course I want to set up a conversation. I want to have a chat. I want to learn about them first, because there's not as much point in me like trying to pitch you a job, an opportunity, if it doesn't align with what you want to do. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to force a square peg into a round hole. So I just want to get some baseline insights first, and then, okay, yeah, that's interesting. You say that. Great. You do like startups. You like, okay, excellent. Well, just so happens I am working with one, whatever it might be. So yeah, if I see that connect, if I join a couple of dots there, then I want to dive in and maybe think about that. I tell a lot of people when I do get on a call with them, like, hey, I've got some things in mind that I think could align for you based on your experience, but I need to speak to you first. I want to understand more, and then we can see where they kind of fit. I also, it's become so challenging for me to make time to speak to every person I hear from. It's become impossible. I cannot. It's not possible. So I am very selective about who to get on an actual call with these days. I will be very honest and transparent that I do not take calls with everyone. I do not take calls with every single designer that reaches out to me. I just do not have the time to do it. And unfortunately, in the way that recruitment kind of works, I am not compensated or paid or rewarded necessarily to invest my time in that initially. My compensation comes through a different way, a different avenue. And so I need to think about how to use my time in the day and actually still keep a job, keep my work visa that I'm on, all these things. So yes, I'm selective about it. I love to identify someone when they reach out. It's all in the work. The work does the talking, and I do hear from people that reach out and say, hey, I'm looking for work. All my stuff's outdated, but maybe we can speak. It's like, well, maybe that's a little early. Maybe update the stuff, then we'll speak. So I'm looking for someone that's ready, that's eager. There's a complete package, and I see something that's really interesting. Then I want to dig in. In cases where I don't have a job for that person, but there is something about them that I think is absolutely standout or unique, that's become very instinctual for me these days. I bet it is for you too, right? You just know it when you see it. That is interesting. That's super cool what that person's doing. I want to speak to them. I want to learn more, because it gets my brain ticking about maybe, as you said, some of the proactiveness that we can take with companies that may not be hiring, may not be advertising, but we think, I know that company, when I worked with that head of design over there, they loved people with that kind of experience. I want to talk to you about it. If you are open to it, then I want to make them aware of you, because you never know what's going to happen. So yeah, I look for that uniqueness to get on a call, but I'm very selective these days.
Yeah, we have to be.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of
Yeah.
candidates on the market that are looking for work and looking for
Yeah.
help. And yeah, I mean, so the way that we're compensated as third-party recruiters is that when we make a placement, so basically we help you land a full-time job at one of our clients, it's the client who pays us, right? So there's no money coming out of your pocket. It's all, but it's got to be rubber meets road, and you have to stay for a while too for us to be guaranteed to keep that placement money too. So there's a lot that goes into, like, to Jared's point, like making sure it's a good fit. It's going to be a long lasting good fit for both sides. Like, we don't want to, place somebody in a job that we're just like, like maybe it'll last, maybe it won't. Like, that's not good for the client. It's not good for you. It's not good for us. So yeah. Yeah.
So helpful. Yeah.
How about you, Erica?
Oh, I mean, I do try to talk to as many people as I can, but it is hard because I tend to go over my 15-minute time slots to sometimes an hour. I probably talked to Dune for an hour last week, but I like those conversations because I learned a lot. I learned what, his viewpoint right now is of design and landscape hiring. And I think that's really important stuff to learn about and to take to potential clients or existing clients, and explain kind of like what people are saying, what can we do to change that narrative. So I do really enjoy these like longer conversations. Obviously that means that like some people I can't get to, but I do always like to really, really try to email everybody back and just sort of let you know, like, hey, unfortunately, this role is not the right fit for you. Like, if I'm posting something, and they're looking for XYZ, I really do try to respond, because I get that feeling of like, I'm trying so much. It's really hard. So I think that for everywhere, it's like there's not enough time in the day, and it's not an excuse. It's just like, really, there isn't. Plus, living like my own life too. So I think we're all just really trying our best, kind of, but I will really try to get back to everybody, and even just try to get on like a 5-10 minute call. I will say, if I do get on calls with people, sometimes I'll speak to people and they won't know what to tell me. So what I can say is, like, we are not maybe the hiring manager, but we have spoken directly to them. So they have asked us questions about like what to look for in the next hire. And we're going to ask you those questions. We're going to dive into one of your case studies. And if you just say like, oh, well, what do you want to know? I mean, that's a little bit like sort of pushing me away. Like, I'm here to help you. We're going to be a partner in this. We're working together. So whatever you can tell me, I'll sort of edit you a little bit, and then I'll take notes and I'll send you over to the client. And I'll be like, oh, I had a really great conversation with Mary. I really think you should talk to her. But if you're going to give me a little bit of a sort of standoff-ish, because I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely talked to people where I think like as like the first screener, because we're not for the company that anyone's working for, people don't think that we know anything. I don't know if it's ever happened to you guys.
Yeah, could just maybe I had a negative experience once. Or,
Yeah. I think a lot of people have, but
Yeah.
I think a good way to think of us as third-party recruiters is kind of like client light in a way, or like sort of adjacent to being a client. Like, we're going to want to see that you're in it to win it, right? Like, we want to see that all your materials are like up to date as possible, that you have a good story, that you're going to be presenting as you would to a client, because that's all we have to go off of, right? Like, how you're presenting to us is how we think you're going to present to the client. You're representing us too. Like, if we're the ones choosing to send you into a client, we're attaching our name, which is pretty much everything to us. Like, our reputation, so much to us. And so for us to take a chance on you and to, put you forward for a job, we need to know that you're going to deliver the goods. And so we only know that by you delivering the goods to us, and when I say client light, I mean that you can also say things to us that you wouldn't say to a client, right? Like, I'll ask people oftentimes like, hey, what's going on in your current company if they're currently employed, or like, what happened at your last company? You know, were you like running for the hills? Was it terrible? Was it just time to make a move? Like, and you can be honest with us, right? Because like all this stuff, it just adds more information for us to know about you, which ultimately helps you because we're able to make that good match. If we know that you had a terrible experience at a really early stage startup, you know, we might kind of dig around on that. I would personally dig around on that. Like not every early stage startup is going to be terrible, but what about that experience was really tough? Was it management just not super seasoned? So just understanding what wasn't a good fit. And you don't really have to, you know, you don't really have to filter yourself too much. I mean, still be professional, but like we want the real poop. Like I want the real poop. I want the real story. And then of course the client answer might be slightly different. It might be, you know, a little sanitized. Like, oh, it's not like, oh, I really didn't get along with my boss. Maybe it's a different answer that might have been like, here was my viewpoint. Here was the company's viewpoint. It just wasn't seeming to match anymore. So I decided it was time to move on. Like you'll have a, you know, kind of a softer version of that answer.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I'm all for earning the trust and rapport with whoever I work with, whichever designer that is. I look at a designer's profile before we connect. I 100% assume you maybe do the same, and you would hopefully see, you know, and you can see it from any of us. We've been doing this a while. We do know what we're doing. We have a track record of success. We have some of that to pull from. So I want to quickly build rapport with you when I speak with you, but then I really want open honesty between us, because at the end of the day, I can be the difference between you getting a job or not. And I'm also, when it comes down to it, 100% in your corner. I say this to my designers that I work with all the time, especially as we get to the tail end of a process. And I say, if this is the role that you really want and you want to go for it, and it sounds like they really want to hire you, just guide me. I'm in your corner. If you want this, I want to get it for you. I want to make it happen. But I can only do that if we're like truly honest with each other. We're being transparent. We're discussing maybe numbers very specifically. We're digging into those details, because when it does get to that offer stage, for example, that company that we're working together for you to get that offer from, that company is asking me what those numbers are. That company is maybe running those numbers past me first. And I'm your buffer, I'm your proxy that's able to say, you know what? I really think that they're worth a little bit more. I really think that if you were to increase that number a bit better, it's much more likely that, you know, they're going to say yes, or whatever it might be. And I'm doing that because we built that trust, we built that openness, and I'm in your corner because you guided me and you said, I really want this job. Help me get this job, Jared. So I'm going to go out there and do it. If you're standoffish, if you're maybe cagey, if you withhold a lot of information, like I just feel I'm not informed, I'm not empowered, I'm not really in your corner. And then whatever happens just is almost a chance. You can, okay, see what happens. I just don't feel it's a great effective way to do it. So if you want to empower me, I'm in your corner 100%, but I will earn that respect and that trust from you. I would hope. I want to earn that really quickly because I believe I know what I'm doing, but I want you to know that too. So yeah, the honesty is really helpful. And I think it's rightly so that any recruiter that you would ever speak to, you want to only speak to ones that you think understand what you do. And that's okay to dig in a little bit to make sure you can trust them. But once you get there, like you gotta go for it. That's how we work best. And that I do think that maybe generally in recruitment, that's maybe a little bit different. We are not generalist recruiters. We have not been doing this for 5 minutes. We've been doing it for 10 minutes now. So, you know, we know a little bit more.
What a journey. Yep.
Yeah.
I like to think of this is going to be silly, but I like to think of the relationship between me and a candidate. Like, you know, those water peddlers in lakes or ponds, like where you pedal together, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Me and you, we're both in it. We cannot get from here to there unless we're both pedaling together. That's how I think of the relationship. I don't know,
We just go in circles.
Right. So, literally.
Going together, right? So yeah, kind of like what you said. I mean, listen, before I started recruiting, I worked with a recruiter that I did not have a good experience with. And then I found another one who got me a job at my first recruiting place. And then it happened to be in a creative recruiting atmosphere. And that was awesome for me because I went to school for art. So, yeah, there's a lot of, people out there, generalists, maybe they don't fully take the time, but I do think that we take the time. We want to help you pedal I want to help you peddle there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to shout this out. Yesterday, I got a call from a candidate that I've worked with and known for a long time. And he had been emailing me, but he hadn't heard back. And he just called me and he was like, hey, are you okay? Like, normally we have a good chat. I just want to check on you. And I called him and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not getting your emails because I'm actually, this is a new, okay, didn't expect to go here, but I'm back to 77 drafts full time. I've left my last company, so I'm just doing independent recruitment right now, but that's why I wasn't getting the emails. But that has never happened to me before, where someone was checking on me to see if I was okay. And so I don't know, it kind of brought tears to my eyes. I was like, dude, thank you. I'm all right. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, I think
You're not a recruiter robot.
Yeah. Flesh and blood, man. I know.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's
Real person.
I think putting the time into fostering a good relationship with us is really worth its weight, right? And I of course I'm biased in saying that, but I think if you can think of us as like we are the portal to many different companies. And, I always underscore that in this market, especially when it's tough, there's a lot of candidates on the market. Like it's all about personal networking and like having those personal relationships, leveraging your network, getting in touch with people, getting in touch with people, right? Like pinging people, like not being shy to get back in touch with people. And I think that's so important. So I think when I say in it to win it, I want to work with people that are in it to win it, meaning they have a great, their portfolio is ready to go, like their materials are ready to go. They have good stories. They've, got their metrics, if applicable, like, okay, how have they helped save the company money? How have they helped, make the company money, right? Like those metrics are like what every company wants to know. So if they have all that stuff together as much as you can, like that's kind of entry level, like that's okay, that's going to get your foot in the door to work together if I have something for you. But then aside from that, just like being top of mind. And I actually was talking with a friend of mine who's in like the marketing and strategy area. And she says, people will forget your name if you don't keep in touch with them every 3 months. And I thought that was pretty shocking. Like kind of hurt my ego where I'm like, how could they ever
very long?
Joanne Weaver, but I mean, there's people that I've had, I'm it's kind of sorry to admit this, but I've had really amazing conversations with candidates. And 6 months later, I'll be like, oh my God, that gal was so great. And she did this and she'd be great for this company. But like, so I got to go to my ATS, my applicant tracking system, my database and like, find it, hopefully. But if that person is like touching base with me like once every 3 months or once every 6 months, just to kind of keep the relationship warm and keep your name top of mind, oftentimes, and I think this is just the way of the world, sometimes it's just luck, right? Like opportunity and chance lining up at the same time. If you happen to be right in front of me at the time that I have a job that's open for you and you're present and you're available and you're like, hey, remember me? Because I might not remember you. I might be posting a job and you're like, oh, I'd be perfect for that. Well, then let me know, because we have so many things we're juggling. Like it's really hard for us to keep track of everything. So help us help you. And if you're reaching out to me, great, like staying top of mind. And also something I really want to underscore is to really build a relationship with us is to send us your people, like send us your good people, because referrals, personal referrals, like people that you've worked with before, you can vouch for, you think they're great. And depending on what areas everybody works in, and maybe Jared and Erica, you could talk about that too. But I'll say for us at the Joanne Weaver Group, we work with UX and product designers, product managers, user researchers, content designers, and then we've also gotten into full stack software engineering a little bit this year. So we're kind of branching out. Yeah. Following the market, that's what the market's bearing. So we're, and it's been great. Like we have designers and product people know great engineers. So if you send us your people, then we're like, okay, like you're helping us out. You're helping out your friend. You're helping make connections. I'm going to remember that. I'm going to remember that. Maybe, depending on the job, give you a referral bonus if we place the person long term. Everybody wins. But I think just fostering that relationship by helping us, like what could we use right now? Like what would help our jobs? What would make our lives easier?
Yeah, we got to think in value exchanges at all times. I think when I speak with a designer, I want to offer value to them in whatever it might be. I could be giving them tips about their work. I could be getting them an interview somewhere, but there's some sort of value exchange, and then vice versa. I think designers can think about the value that they could provide to the recruiter that they're working with. And that, that gets surfaced in many ways, but we take note of everything. Are you prompt? Are you responsive? Do you have great availability for interviews? When you say in it to win it, I immediately think of things like that. Are you going to make the time for the job search process, for the actual interview process? Are you going to commit to things like that? I'm always looking for those little signals. And I must say this year, if I think about the designers that I've helped get their latest jobs, super responsive, up for it, really open, really great communication, text message basis as needed, pick up the phone, I could call them, they'll answer, having these open chats, that kind of rapport, that back and forth, that openness, and that availability from them, their own brain space, their own head space to go after this job. One, I think it ultimately gets them the job because they're truly showing up for it. But two, it obviously allows us to be, in their corner really strongly as well, to help them get that too. So all those little indirect signals do matter. They really help. I really see it as worthwhile for sure.
It's true. Awesome. Yay. All right. Should we move on to the next question?
Please. Yeah. Bring whatever you like up.
Okay.
There's a lot in here. Great. I also love that many of you are sharing tips with each other. Yeah. That is really cool. That is the way the world goes around. I think we're all kind of in it.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. We've all got our perspectives.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, great. So this next question is from Tracy L. Hayes. Hi, Tracy. You had asked, what are your thoughts about UX leadership roles and what is needed in the market today? How is this changing, and is it getting better or worse?
Yeah.
Jared, I saw you had, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say you had a great post on LinkedIn this week or last week about how design leadership portfolios may not be as visually leaning as maybe more IC level roles. And I thought that was a really nice thing that you posted, where it's, like so much of what they're doing is like strategy and team building, and their design. I think what you said was they're designing for design.
Yeah.
I thought that was really astute.
Thanks for reading. Appreciate that. Yes, that was off the back of a handful of chats I'd had with really strong design leaders, that the last couple of years for them was coming into orgs and larger teams or groups, that their work really was like getting that design department organizing the teams, like bridging between product and engineering, thinking more high level strategy so that the designers could actually get on with their work. All these sorts of things that only a leader can do and a leader must do. But you try to look at that on paper and it's like, what does that look like? They're not talking about their metrics. They're not talking about ROI. There can be some high level storytelling about what the end success was of the greater team. But their day to day, their week to week, their month to month is more restructuring these teams and designing the design group so it can deliver design. And that's really hard to look at on paper. And so that's, UX leadership is a tricky one, because yes, it's not just about the visuals, but how you articulate that value add that you bring. I must say, in many products though too, like, things happen on your watch. If you are a leader, if you are a design leader and you're looking over people, you may not push that pixel, but it gets shipped under your watch. You still sign off on it. So if at the end of the day, nothing works and it looks terrible, it happened on your watch. Like, that's what I'm looking at too. I don't expect this is your hands-on craft necessarily, but I expect that under your watch, great things happen. And if they're not, why not? So that's, I know you're in a conundrum as a leader at times where you feel like, what can I show? Well, there is that storytelling, and there is still something to show about that. And there is a way to kind of craft that into a story. I saw a great post the other day too. I'll lean on this, is that visuals grab someone's attention first. They see the visual first, that's going to grab their attention, then they're going to stick around for a minute after that. So if you don't lead with that, it's pretty hard for them to read an essay with no visuals. They're just not sticking around. So, again, it might not be your pixel pushed work, but you got to rope some people in and make some things a little bit visual when you're telling a bit of a story.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys probably see similar.
Yeah. What do you think, Erica?
I mean, I usually tell people in leadership roles to discuss how they've built a culture and how they hire, sort of like what their leadership, I don't know, methodologies or what's the word? Just mindset is.
Philosophy.
Kind of. Yeah, thank you. That's philosophy. Whether that's on like a separate tab for the about, like different from the about me section on the website, that's like really about you. But I feel like more, you know, like Jared said, show us kind of the products that your team, that you led your team to work on or to complete. Even if they were sunset, honestly, just sort of like, and tell us kind of how you got them there. You know, what were the challenges? And I think just really talk about that leading perspective, you know, who you had to report to or speak with. Yeah, just, you know, make sure, I guess, on your LinkedIn to have recommendations from those team members, speaking to you about your leadership capabilities, or peers directly, whether it's a product manager, peer, engineering peer, something like that. That would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crafting some of that story, you know, I do look for things of like leadership in action. And this can come back to this original initial outreach to this recruiter, this design recruiter you want to work with. Like, what can you package up? Because they have to package you up and help deliver you to someone else, to a company. So they're looking for you to already have some of that package done, I think, a lot of the time, that recruiter. And seeing that leadership in action, I'm often looking for things like that. And that's where I get a little bit stuck. I do appreciate and like a design leader's philosophy, but just telling me how you think you might do it versus like what you actually did and what was done, they're two different things, and one without the other doesn't always work for me. I liked the philosophy is great and give me that too, but show me a little bit of it in action as well. Where did it roll out? What actually happened? What was the outcomes and the results of your philosophy in action as a design leader? Yeah. So looking for that story and being able to present that to someone and come to a recruiter and say, this is what I do. This is what I'm pretty good at. This is what I'd like to do next.
Yeah. Have you guys ever had design leaders get angry when you ask them for a portfolio? I have. I'll have people that are like, that's like, I've grown in my career. I'm a VP now. Like, I don't have a portfolio. And it's like, well, I think just being a design leader, I think it's not beyond the pale to ask for some sort of representation of your team's work, but also how you structure that portfolio itself has to be visually appealing. Right. So I think I'm seeing a trend, and this has been happening for, you know, over a decade now. But I think, you know, in like 2007, 2008, we saw a real kind of stratification between UX design and visual UI design. And companies often had, you know, people in each camp. Now we're coming back to the way things were in the early days, where it's like a designer does everything. Right. So it's like research, UX, and visual. You'll probably lean, you know, in one direction. Like maybe you came up out of maybe graphic design, like classical visual training, and maybe you're a little UI leaning or design systems leaning. Maybe you're a little more UX leaning, which probably means you have more user research chops than somebody who came out from the other way, right? So I think it's packaging like who you are, what your strengths are, but then also showing what your teams have done. And I think, Jared, that's a great point that you made around, you know, like showing, you know, what happened on your watch, right? Like you know what good design is, so you can oversee it and better the design and hence better the company. And then design leaders are going to have more access to information about what was the impact, not only on the user, but impact on the business. And that's what businesses want to know from design leaders is how did you help the business? And I think that's something that design leaders especially have to fight for in terms of like you know, being taken seriously in their roles, especially at companies that maybe don't really get design. They have to prove their value time and time again. So I think most design leaders that have made it to the director level and or manager level, really all levels, if you come to think of it, have to evangelize for design in some way, shape, or form. So you're basically evangelizing for yourself with a design portfolio, showing what you've done. And you also need to have something to show because you need to earn the respect of the team. The team that you're going to be overseeing needs to see that you know your design shit, basically. Pardon my French. chops. There you go. That's the little classier way of saying it, Jared. Thanks for classing up the joint. Um, but I think to have something that, the designers can like, be aspirational towards, like, oh, this is a leader that's going to really like push my design to the next level. They need to see that oftentimes. And so does the hiring managers and the HR people and everybody else who's involved in the process.
Yeah. Again, as recruiters right now, right, we are looking for designers that are ready, that are in it to win it, that are ready to go. And that includes, as a design leader, having some of that together. You're a stranger. You're a stranger to everyone out there that doesn't know who you are. So you might be a great design leader, but if 10 companies out there that you would like to work for don't know who you are, what are they going to know about you? And are those 10 companies coming and knocking on your door? Not right now. Probably not. Sorry. So we have to go to their door and knock on it, and you got to have something to give them a reason to stand there and have a chat with you. And if you don't, they're just going to close the door back over. So, that is part of where the market is at right now. I do think, please, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's that mentality of like, okay, why do I need a portfolio? Well, you're a stranger. How does anyone know anything about you? What would you like someone that doesn't know you and your work as a design leader? What would you like them to know about you? And how would you just show that to them? How will they learn something about you in 60 seconds? So, yeah, I really lean on that. And I think as a recruiter, we do operate best, again, by being with those designers with some of that stuff ready. That's the space that we're playing in.
Yeah. Word.
Word.
Right, another question?
Please. I love it. You just bang them up anytime.
Yeah. We're here for the people.
I love it.
Let's see. Faradune. Hi, Faradune. Nice to see your name here. Ageism. Aside from doing a color wash on my beard, is it purple though with pink stripes? Because that could be kind of cool. Dropping anything older than 15 years from my CV. Is there anything else you'd recommend for folks struggling to appear relevant and hungry in the job market? So this one's, it's a multi-layered question. It's a multi-layered issue. I've been in this business for a long time. So I'm kind of, older in the tech world. So I get it. I know there's ageism in tech. I totally understand the reasons why people might want to hide their age, especially in this market where maybe you feel like, oh, there aren't as many opportunities and they want the young buck that's easily trainable, et cetera, et cetera. When I see people drop things from their resume, especially as a design leader, because when you're a design leader, having a lot of experience and being through lots of different companies and different industries and different situations and, different fluctuations in the market, you've like earned your stripes. Like that is hard-won experience that is really valuable. And my personal opinion is if the companies don't want you because you're over a certain age or you had a certain year of graduation, I think they're extremely short-sighted and I don't think they'd be a good match for you. And quite frankly, I think they suck. Do you really want to align with yourself with a company like that? Conversely, when I see people, because I think a lot of people do what you're asking, Faradune, like I think they actually like drop things off in their resume that are over 15 years. I personally think there's a lot of juice in those early roles. Like I like to see those roles and maybe you don't give them a lot of airtime. Like you probably don't want your resume to be 3 pages long. You still want to keep it nice and, concise and visually, you want the white space. Like you don't want to cram a bunch of stuff on the page. So I would say maybe 2 pages if you're very experienced would be my advice. But I think some of those early jobs, like those early industries that you saw grow and that you were part of, like maybe you're part of like, like the tech boom back then, like that's a really interesting place to be. Like I was there, like I know what that's like. And there was incredible people that I met then that have gone on to do amazing things. So I personally like to see that. And if I see it truncated and if I see things that are missing, like between your graduation date, if you choose to list it, and then like your first job, I'm kind of like, like, what are they hiding? Like, what's missing? Like, why are they choosing not to do that? Is it ageism? Is it just that maybe you had like a lot of short stints? Maybe it was at companies you're not really proud of. So I think, I think there can be some truncation in terms of like what you're choosing to share about each job. it's a personal choice. If you feel like you want to drop stuff off that's early in your career because you're afraid of ageism, I mean, no harm, no foul. I think you should do what is comfortable for you. But just personally for me, I'm weaving your story, right? Like I'm telling
Weaving.
a client, yes, exactly. I'm weaving a narrative of who you are, and I'm
Yeah.
packaging that to the client. And so I want to know all the things about you.
Yeah.
Here, go ahead, Jared.
Oh no, I was just going to say that's my take. Oh, go ahead.
No, please, Erica, you go.
I would say so I do this a lot with people. My advice, I agree, is you can keep some stuff there, but I do think that the way that people look at resumes these days is they're going to look at your resume and then they're still going to look at your LinkedIn profile. So I do tell people with longer experience to kind of like write a section that's like career highlights or recent highlights. And that way you can sort of go through a couple of areas that were like the most fun for you or whatever, like the outcomes became. And that could be like a whole page. The second page could be other stuff. But then you can sort of mention at the bottom, like, for a real true CV feel, like, here's my LinkedIn page. And then they can go and they can check out the rest. It's just a little bit easier, I think, that way. And depending on who's reading it, whether it's like a coordinator who has never read a design resume before or a hiring manager, they're going to get it. I mean, they're going to be up there too in terms of leveling. And they're going to be like, yeah, this is like what's relevant, kind of. So I would do that. But you could also say things like, before this time, I also held roles where I worked with companies across these things. But I think the biggest thing is like, just be honest and just tell people like who would not understand normally what you're doing, exactly what you did. Like, hey, I was around for this big life event or whatever that we had. The stock, all of these different things, and you can say it in very easy, like layman terms, I think. Make it a little funny, put some humor into it, kind of, add some flair. That's what I always like to say. That's kind of my take of things. And that way you don't have to like go into it, because I don't think that everyone's reading everything. I think they're reading the first one or two bullet points, moving to the next section, reading the top one. So anything important, put it at the top. That's just like how eyes read. I don't think anyone really reads bottom up. And then sections of like skills sections, technical skills, hobbies, whatever interests, to sort of set yourself apart a little bit more. But I've seen a lot of design leaders who I'm like, I know that person has more experience. I'm confused. Really, that they put career highlights. Ever since then, I was like, that's brilliant, because it makes me go to her LinkedIn page.
I want to see more. Interesting.
Yeah. I do the same thing, Erica. Like I'll look at like the past 2 or 3 jobs, like maybe jobs that go back 7 years.
Yeah.
Things that are before then probably just aren't. I mean, they can still be relevant if you have like industry expertise or a certain vertical expertise. Like it can still be relevant, but it's kind of like Hollywood, where they say you're only as good as your last few movies or last movie. Right? In Hollywood, I don't think it's quite as brutal.
Yeah.
It is kind of true. It's like, what have you been doing lately? And what have your recent accomplishments been? There's a lot more weight on what you've been up to recently than what you did 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. We've got time for one more, Joanne. You want to select one?
Sure.
This is awesome.
Sure.
Go on. Take your pick.
Let's see. Oh, Fairdew wants to ask if your drums are Grolsch. I think he meant Gretsch.
Oh no, these are my water bottles. These
Oh, Grolsch. Oh, I thought
these are Grolsch. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't had a beer in a long time though, so coming up on a year soon.
Yeah. Cool. How about let's see. Okay, this one's from Naina. I'm sorry, Naina, if I'm not pronouncing your name right. Jaiswal. Hello. Do you choose your clients? If yes, on what basis? And we have about 5 minutes left, so we can tackle this one quickly.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess we do, don't we? We choose them. That if one came to us and we didn't necessarily want to work with them, we wouldn't have to. I think we're all at a point in our careers where we try to be selective. you know, there's an element of that saying right now, beggars can't be choosers too. I think all of us are probably remembering that saying in many ways when it comes to the market. But yeah, for the most part, we do. Little point on what basis. 1 point for me would be, am I confident they can actually make a hire? That's one thing that I'm really looking to determine that. Do they truly want to make this hire? How will I get to that signal? If I feel not confident in that, then yeah, they're probably not a client to necessarily work with. It's not a great use of time. How about you guys? Do you pick your clients, Joanne? Does the Joanne Weaver Group pick its clients? Does Joanne Weaver pick the clients for the Joanne Weaver Group?
Yes, you just kind of put them all in a hat and just blindly. Okay, this week it's going to be Apple. Okay.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
fabulous.
Steve
I'm not
called.
saying that we work with Apple, for the record. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of like outbound and inbound, right? Like as with anything, as a candidate, you're getting inbound and outbound requests as well. So we might get inbound requests. You know, certainly 2022 was a year of like crazy inbound requests. We couldn't beat them off with a stick. It was nuts. We had to hire recruiters to help us like fill the roles. It was crazy. So there's less of that going around these days in general, but you know, it still happens. Word of mouth is still a very powerful thing. I would say in terms of choosing clients, we tend to, you know, I'd say our first strategy is to just stay in touch with clients we've worked with before. So for us to have an agreement in place with the client, there's a lot of steps that go into that process to actually be like, okay, now we have an agreement in place, we can send you people. So if I have a client with whom we have an agreement in place with, that's a much easier road to go than to start from scratch and to try to get a new client on board. So, you know, we'll hit up our old clients, you know, leverage those relationships just to see what they have cooking, see if they might be open to receiving some proactive people from us. And then the next step would be identifying clients that we want to work with and just seeing, you know, it's using our personal networks. It's what we tell you guys to do too, or advise you guys to do with your job search is like, who do we know at the company? Who do we know that knows somebody that's at the company who's in charge of design or in charge of product, maybe somebody in TA, you know, talent acquisition that might be a good person to know. So, you know, I think probably I'm speaking for all three of us is that we want to work with clients that are ethical, that are not doing shady stuff, right? Like I personally,
doing my best.
Yeah, like I tend to stay away from certain big tech companies just because I don't believe what they stand in. And I think they're ruining society. Not to be overly dramatic, but, you know, I just don't want to be a part of that energy. And likewise, like I tend to really love to work with early stage startups, early or mid or late stage startups, because that's where I came from. Like I just love that world. I love like the 0 to 1 build. We're all in this together. Like, oh my God, we're building the plane as we fly it, as long as it's got great leadership and it's not, you know, cockamamie. I was hoping to put that word in today, cockamamie.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I've learned over the years. Oh, go on.
I was gonna have either of you guys fired any clients?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over what?
Sometimes they don't know that I fired them, but I have. But yeah, I've walked away from things. It's come up a little bit recently where I've had to not even really start with the client because you know, things like design tasks or just
communication,
certain things like that I just disagreed with and just I can't really do this. And I was going to say my point was I find I even can't mentally or physically work anymore on something I'm not believing in, inspired by, or is potentially unethical. I just feel myself I can't even speak to someone about it. I just am like, I don't want to do this. This is not how I'm going to spend my day. I think it's myself getting older. Like, not that I could bullshit better before, but it's like, I just don't want to do it. And so if I don't believe in it and I'm not into it, then I'm not even working on it. Yeah. But yeah, definitely fired some clients too, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, the design exercise is like a big no-no. Like in terms of, I think somebody asked us earlier, like how do you decide what clients or what roles you take on? And, you know, you had said they have to be placeable, right? Like we have to know that the client is in it to win it as well. Like they actually want someone, want to hire someone. But if they have like skeevy hiring practices that we know that you guys are, you know, are candidates that we love and that we want to take care of and protect, if we know they're going to be skeevy with you, like that's a no-fly zone. Like a design exercise I think is something that I think we probably all try to stay away from. There was one client we worked with that gave this really weird personality test to people that the candidates were just having a lot of negative feedback about, and it was just biased and it was very strange. And so we decided to cut with them. And so I think we're looking out for you is what I'm trying to say. Like, we're looking out for you by trying to just have the best things on deck that we can send you to.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So I think that's time, everyone. Wow.
I think that is.
Yeah.
There's a ton of questions in there that we didn't get to. So maybe if any of us have time, we'll try to jump into the chat and share some responses. I love and appreciate everyone that's responding to each other. So cool. That's really helpful. If we can offer our perspective, which might be slightly different from design to designer, recruiter to designer, then we'll do so. Yeah. We'll
and if
make an
other
effort to try and
designers
jump in there.
help each other, also like just connect with each other too. I mean, there's a lot of different levels following this, so always good to get like someone totally different perspective.
Yeah, definitely. We're all in this together, man.
Yeah.
We're all on the boat together. I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. So in 2
Yep.
Wednesdays from now, 1:00 Eastern, we'll come up with another topic. Actually, if you guys have a topic that you want to cover, how should they get in touch with us, Jared? I feel like you're the master of this sort of stuff.
Oh, anything. You could comment, you could DM us. Let us know what kind of topic you might want. I'll maybe try and do a poll. We'll just collate the results and we'll try to create it. I will say too, if anyone has a question that they're not able to attend, but they want to ask, drop me a DM sometime about that question. You want it to be anonymous, you don't want to share it publicly, that's okay. Drop me a DM and let me know, hey, I want this to be an anonymous question. Then, respectfully, we'll ask that too anonymously. So we're here. Reach out to us anytime specifically about questions on this, topics you want to go over. We gather all that stuff up. So again, this hour is for you. So we'll do that. Thanks. I feel like you moderated for us today, Joanne. Sorry, go on.
I did. Yeah, that was fun.
I was just gonna say, for anyone who wants to share this with people or even like watch it again, if you just go to your LinkedIn search bar and search Design Unfiltered, all of them will show up. We're trying to put Roman numerals and numbers against all of them, so you can also watch back on like double speed. It's kind of great.
It's pretty handy.
Okay, so we search for hashtag and then one word, Design Unfiltered.
Yeah, you'll just see all of the images come up.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Okay.
They're all up there. They do get pushed to YouTube. You could search it on YouTube and they all live on there as well. But yeah, if you're missing one, just ping us and we'll shoot you a link. But it's all there. It all exists.
And the next time we post our next one, feel free to tag your friends if you think somebody would really benefit from this. Like, let's add more people to the community and get more conversations and more brains in this conversation.
More brains.
Yes.
Yeah. We have some fun stuff coming up too, as well.
Yeah. Always. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.